Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Jesse Gilmore on the line, and he's a founder over at Niche and Control. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Adam.
All right, Jesse, so we got a lot to talk about, man. I want to get into this topic. So we're going to be talking about bottlenecks. I know your niche is agency owners and how you help them get really unstuck and to scale. And also, let's just say deal with burnout, right? Like it can be tricky if you're growing and you don't know exactly how to do that. So I want to get into that. But first, how'd you get into the business of helping other agency owners? That's an interesting niche in itself.
It really is. And actually, Niche and Control is my fourth business. My first three businesses, I kind of was that, what I call single point of failure, where if I didn't work didn't get done. And a lot of what I had created in my first businesses was basically a glorified job. Yeah. And I didn't really understand, delegation or what was actually needed for the business to be able to run without me. Right. And so it wasn't until I kind of suck up my ego after the third business. First off, in those first businesses, you talked about burnout. I had gone for about 60 to 80 hour weeks for a number of years. And I just got to a place where it wasn't even worth it. Even as the businesses were growing, I was like kind of dying inside. And so I had dissolved all three of those businesses and went into corporate America. And it wasn't until I was working in corporate America that I started learning all the things that I wish I would have known in my first businesses, which had more to do with processes and systems and training and getting people to be able to do the things that you do, And it wasn't until the corporate business unit that I was working in got acquired for $180 million that I started to realize, oh my gosh, I think I've figured out what was missing in my first businesses. Now I want to help them. So I started off Niche and Control in 2019, went really all into it in 2020. And I started to look at, for founders that may have been like a previous version of myself, which are kind of got stuck and you have the vision of entrepreneurship and freedom, but you don't really have the pathway there. You're working in a job. And I started to kind of package my learnings and all the things that I would have taught my previous self into a method, which I call Leverage for Growth. And the first kind of version of it, I started to work with different types of clients. So the first client was a B2C SaaS company. The second company was a copywriter, and the third company was a digital marketing agency. And I kind of stumbled upon it, but that digital marketing agency, kind of fast forward a little bit, went from 15,000 to 100,000 in 9 months per month. And we took that and we started realizing that was version 1.0. From what worked with him, we created version 2.0. And we started just doing that over and over again. And agencies seem to get really good results from somebody that is more on the systems and logic side, where they're more on the creative and marketing side.
That's an interesting story. And speaking of niches and agencies, like, is there one that you work with versus another? Or like, I want to go into the framework too, but before we do that, let's start there. Because I want, at the end of this, I'll give you the opportunity to leave, websites, things like that, so people can connect. But again, is there one niche of agency versus another, or are you agnostic on that one?
Yeah, so the ones that have gotten the best results are marketing agencies, and I think that it has more to do with just them focusing on growth, and then we systemize it, and then they're able to grow. But within marketing agencies, looking deeper, people that have gotten really good results from us are like creative agencies, ad agencies. We have a lot of SEO clients, but you can be a full service agency or you can be specific to a certain type of service, but we just don't work in like insurance agents or travel agencies or things like that.
Yeah. Let's go further into the framework and like what that entails. I guess, what are some of the things first that keeps people from growing, like bottlenecks and other things? Like, why are agency owners stuck, and really how does this system help them?
Yeah, totally. If you think about anybody that is really good at their craft, right? A lot of times they're really close to the trees and they can't really see the forest. And a lot of times what they're doing is, if you think about the organic kind of evolution of a founder, a lot of times they start off being the person who has the skills that the business is based around. And what I would consider to be like a centralized business model where everything funnels through the founder. And a lot of times what happens is that if you focus on marketing first and not scalability first, what will happen is that you turn on marketing, you get flooded with clients because you're good at it, and then all of a sudden you have to turn it back off in order for you to fulfill. And then that kind of feast and famine kind of demand curve like slows people down. Mm-hmm. And what I realized over and over through my own experience and also working with clients is that the actual issue has less to do with demand and it has more to do with the founder's supply. Right. So the founder, if you have a vision for the business to grow and you can't see the vision because you're working too much, you have to start carving out time. Yeah. So our method is a lot different than most agency programs, which focuses a lot more based around like demand and marketing and sales and then hustle and like all the stuff that I'm like, ugh, I've done that before. And it's more focused around the actual founder's experience. So and making that a transformation where they're going from a subject matter expert or a person who does the work to a trainer, to a manager, to a leader, to a visionary. And those transformations require different skills, different resources, different kind of like versions of themselves kind of emerging, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess that sets up the kind of context, and the first kind of step with the bottleneck is that a lot of things are just based around their time and them working. Would you like me to kind of go through the method a little bit more? That was like from a high level, I can go more.
Yeah, and I guess, so now I want to get the audience is going to have time to catch up and also, figure out how to work with your team. But what are some of the first steps? Like I always try to give something, like it's an audience, something actionable, something like that they could do maybe today when it comes to like helping them, and in this case, to not be bottlenecks.
Yeah. And this is going to be applicable. So the first steps are applicable to really anybody in either like a CEO or a founder or a C-suite type of leadership. Mm-hmm. And the first thing you can do, if you're listening to me and Adam talk and you're like, man, I feel like I'm a bottleneck or I'm trying to free up more time. The first thing you can do is just do what's called a time log. It's where you log your time for 7 days, every half an hour for 7 days, include both personal and professional. So include your sleep patterns, your morning routines and everything. And when you look at this 7 day, what happens is you become very aware of what is happening in your day-to-day, where a lot of times you're kind of unconscious about things. When you become aware, there is a natural understanding that certain things need to be in place in order for you to start freeing up time. And we walk clients through a 4-step process. 4-step process starts off with elimination. Okay, so when you look at everything that's on your time log and you're like, there's no reason to automate or delegate or time block things that I could just literally remove. Think about very like scrolling social media or binge watching Netflix or like, or you can dive more into, that was on the personal side, but on the professional side, like certain things that you're doing right now. Yeah. That you have a teammate that could literally do that for you, And so start by eliminating. And then if you can't eliminate it, can you automate it? I said in a podcast a couple of weeks ago, no data transfers should ever be done by a human anymore. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for automation. So there's eliminate, automate, and then if you can't do those two, can you delegate it to somebody? Now, Dan Martell in his Buy Back Your Time book talks a lot more about what's called like a buyback period, and like 1/4 of the amount that you pay yourself is what you could easily pay somebody else to do. And you just find people that you can delegate those kind of low risk tasks to. And then the last bit, the fourth one, is whatever's left over, you time block. And time blocking has more to do with grouping certain types of tasks that use the same part of your brain. So for an example, if you group things like sales calls together, that's beneficial. You're in kind of like a persuasion mode. If you're doing technical stuff, grouping those together, this allows you to minimize what's called task switching, which leads towards decision fatigue and a bunch of other stuff. But if you do that, and you do that after the first week, then you just do a time log again where you are seeing if it was beneficial. And eventually what happens is you start freeing up a crap ton of time, just over and over and over and over and over again.
Wow. You make it sound so simple.
I've done it with 99. I'm going to get one more agency in there, but 99 times over the last 6 years with agencies, and it's kind of crazy what happens.
Wow, that is amazing. And you mentioned a podcast. I can't let you off the line without you talking about the podcast. Like, how long you been podcaster? I got to, like, what's the name of the show? Like, I want people to check it out. I'm a big fan of promoting the podcasters and the podcast community in general.
Yeah, totally. So I've done 280 some episodes and started in 2023. So that can tell you about my consistency. But
amazing.
Leverage for Growth. I actually launched the podcast in 2023.
Wait, what's the name again? Say it again. You said it kind of fast.
Yeah, Leverage for Growth.
Leverage for Growth. That's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm.
I should have trademarked LFG before it became a big thing. But
we'd all be broke if we trademarked every idea we had. I don't care who you are now. What's your favorite part about being a podcaster? Like, talk to me about like podcasting in general. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've done a lot of versions of it. The way beginning was kind of like my daily leverage, applying the Leverage for Growth method to my own business and then kind of going through that. But I've focused a lot more recently on agency interviews, so interviewing other agency owners. And what was funny in the way beginning, it was validating my own method because I don't own an agency, but I always wanted to make sure that I'm kind of up to snuff with it. With podcasting now, I'm also a guest on people's podcasts, such as yourself. Thank you. Yeah. And so I love networking with people, and I'm a coach first, and anybody that works with me in events ultimately sees that. And so podcasting gives me an opportunity to kind of be that coach, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, I'll tell you, this has been a lot of fun having you on the show, Justine, just getting to kind of pick your brain and see what's in your head, because I feel like what you're talking about as well, like the idea of bottleneck or anything else like that, I constantly, like, that's what every single day I'm thinking about what kind of process I'm a bottleneck of, and by eliminating, and I'm not saying I have as eloquent as of a method as yourself, but through my team, we're always looking at things like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. And, now through the course of a couple of years, it's freed up more time and just to do some of the other higher level partnerships and things that I need to do as a CEO. So it's just worked. And I know for the agency owners that are out there and they're listening to this and like, oh my gosh, I'm still the bottleneck. And this, I would just say, like, it's okay. It's okay if you understand, if you know, but, and you might not be able to do it overnight if you don't have the funds to hire or a lot of other things. Like it's a seesaw at least in my personal experience, especially if you're bootstrapped and you didn't raise a bunch of money or anything like that, right? But the main thing I like to think about is that, like, there's no excuse still. There's a task that you can outsource. And if you're hard-headed and you're listening to this and you're like, no, I got to do everything, then it's going to be real hard. Burnout is a thing. Kevin, I don't know what year, when, how, but man, focus on your health too. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. And actually, let me throw this out there. So sometimes the biggest challenge to doing anything that me and Adam are talking about is actually just a mindset component.
For sure.
And wrapping your head around, like, letting go of perfectionism and, being pulled towards something bigger than the job that you have, and what I want to do is I want to give your audience a playbook that I give every one of my new clients, which is actually my book. It's the Agency Owner's Guide to Freedom. And Adam, I'll send you over the link so you can put it in the show notes. But for anybody that's listening, you can go to nicheincontrol.com/free and then guide. And I'll send you the digital and audiobook version. And if anybody wants the paperback, you can go on to Amazon too. But that is 256 pages worth of the method. And a lot of it has more to do with, like, the actual mindset component.
So you find the mindset, it's not always even the resources, like needing a CFO or something. That might be a bad example actually, but needing some type of support, right? Like hiring your first assistant or a smaller, depending on the size of the company, right? But you mean like stuff like that, a lot of it's just the mindset? Yeah,
and also understanding the bigger picture. I mean, if we had another half an hour or so, Adam, we could go way deeper into it. But just to kind of summarize in the next 30 seconds. So in the time of AI, everybody has information at their fingertips. In actuality, information is never the bottleneck to people. So I think that most founders that are listening to this right now know that they they are the bottleneck, that they're the issue. They type it into ChatGPT, they get some information, right? The main thing is that there has to be first off, a level of discernment. Is the information that they're getting actually going to work? And second off, has a lot more to do with the mindset of somebody that goes into action without overthinking. Right now, we're experiencing a lot of founders that just get flooded with a lot of information, and then they don't know how to discern it. They don't know how to choose it. They don't have to, be able to move on it. And it has way more to do with mindset. It has everything to do with mindset and being able to have what's called a singularity of focus. Again, probably another topic for another podcast. But,
well, Jesse, and I'm sure you cover a lot of this stuff on your podcast. So
I do,
I know you do. Come on, because you're a good podcaster. So that being said, first off, it's great having you on the show today. How do people follow up? How do they connect with your agency? Leave that book information one more time so people can grab a copy, and also your podcast. Leave that on the time because I want people to go check that out so that they can continue the dialogue and continue learning.
Totally. Absolutely. So everything is housed on our website, nicheincontrol.com. That's the first thing to learn about us. We have over 20 video in-depth case studies. So even Warren with the 15,000 to 100,000 in 9 months, there's a 26-minute video of him talking about before, during, and after. There's 20 of those on our website. So if you want to learn more about us, nicheincontrol.com. If you want to check out the podcast, we have a redirect link, just nicheincontrol.com/podcast. And then if you want a copy of my book for free, you can go to nicheincontrol.com/free-guide. And that will be it. Otherwise, I'm on LinkedIn all the time.
And for everybody, no, it's great. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links into the show notes so that you'll be able to just pick up and click on the link and head to the website, get a copy of that book, and also listen to that podcast. So we'll put a bunch of links in the show notes so you can take care of that. And speaking to the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way on your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Jesse, man, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam. Really appreciate it.